Self-esteem is one of the most important things that we can do for good mental health for our children. People who have good self-esteem go on to have more confidence, they have more success in school, they have more success in pursuing higher education, they have more success in pursuing better jobs in the future. So self-esteem is actually important for a lot of things. Therefore, we want to do everything we can to build self-esteem in our children. However, that can be easier said than done. One of the biggest problems that we run into that is so tempting to do as parents is using non-specific praise as a way to build self-esteem. And what I'm talking about is, for example, saying, "You're so smart," or "That was good," things that are not specific. And you would think off the top of your head that telling your child that they're smart is important, right? I mean, that makes sense. But here's the really interesting thing. If you just tell a kiddo that they're smart, what they take away from that is, I'm smart, and that's what's important about me. It wasn't the effort I put into it. It wasn't how hard I tried. It wasn't the fact that I took a risk. It was just that I was smart and I succeeded. So kids who are told that they're smart and not much else actually have a tendency not to risk take and not to try and excel in academics, because they don't want anything to prove that they aren't smart, because that's what they've got going for them. So, interestingly, it is actually much better to praise a child for things like effort. And you want to be as specific as you can. So, for example, if your child has kind of a hard day at school, but gave good effort, say very specifically, "I really appreciated the way that you tried to figure out this science problem. You put a lot of effort into it, and that's really important." And what that tells them is that it really was the effort that was important. So that is actually a more powerful tool to build self-esteem and will lead to more increased likelihood that that child will give better effort in the future and will be willing to take a couple of risks academically to really go above and beyond, if that makes sense. For some children, though, their self-esteem is going to be tied not to academics, but to other things, sort of feeling like they're not very accepted by a peer group, feeling that other kids don't like them very much. And that can be much harder to deal with because those peer groups are very difficult to change unless you're willing to change schools, which can be a challenge. So one of the most important things that we can do for kids who are having trouble with a peer group at school and have low self-esteem for that reason is to find other peer groups that they really can connect with and feel good about themselves through. And actually a great source of that is something like church. So church often will have great peer groups that do activities that involve something like community service. So when kids do community service, they feel useful, they feel important, they know they've made a difference in the world, and that really builds self-esteem very powerfully. So doing a community service activity actually is great for building self-esteem for everybody, but can be especially important for the kids who are having low self-esteem because they're having some trouble with a peer group.